there's that one. Let's see what we have next. Who doesn't love the banana splits? This was part of a very popular, common concept right around this time, the very early 70s. This show ran from 68 to 70, but it was part of this batch of shows that had these, animal kind of characters, people in costumes and stuff. So live action, but not people in human characters. And so there's, other ones. I don't remember being a fan as much of some of the other ones, but this one I remember watching. It was just supposed to be goofy fun. And again, this would be right around the time that we got a TV, very late 60s, very early 70s. So I would have been, between 6 and 8 years old. So this was right up a young kid's alley. 38 episodes. And let's see the storyline of the show. A pop group consisting of 4 anthropomorphic animals host a variety of cartoons, songs, and skits. So it was just supposed to be fun. And I know there have been shows throughout history. I'm sure even now, I don't have little children anymore. I'm sure there are similar shows where there are make-believe characters that just get on the stage and have fun and make you laugh and pass the time. One of the composers employed to write the songs performed by the Banana Splits was future R&B legend Barry White. Go figure! Opening and closing sequences were filmed at Six Flags Over Texas and Kings Island in Cincinnati, Ohio amusement parks. That's awesome. The show originally was going to be called The Banana Bunch. However, there was a children's book already released with that title, and the author wouldn't give permission to Hanna-Barbera to use it. The Banana Bunch. Never heard of that book. Also, the name change had further repercussions as Kellogg's, who was the show's sponsor, was going to sell cereal with the Banana Bunch name, and when the name change happened, Kellogg's was forced to abandon their plans, even though they had already printed 1.25 million boxes with the cereal's name. The 5 cartoon segments shown on a rotating basis during the series were Arabian Nights, The Three Musketeers, The Hillbilly Bears, Microventures, and The Adventures of Gulliver. The 2 live-action segments shown on a rotating basis during the series were Danger Island, which starred Jan Michael Vincent when he was very young, and The New Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. The usual order of roll call by the announcer at the start of each episode was Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper, and Snorky, although the order was swapped around occasionally. I wouldn't have remembered that. Let's see if this tells us who was who. Okay, so James McDonald played Shorky. Oh, I thought that said Snorky on the other thing. Shorky. He lived from May of 1906 to February of 1991. And he died of congestive heart failure at the age of 84. He was also in, looks like lots of kid stuff, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, The Fox and the Hound, Pete's Dragon, The Rescuers, Walt Disney's 50th anniversary show, with his last work being in 1989. And then Bingo. Oh, this says the Croft puppets played bingo. Huh, what does that mean? Sid and Marty Krofft, I mean, I know that, but what does that mean? So that, I guess that means that that particular character was not a human, because there's no, like, birth and death date. Wow, that's interesting. And then it looks like there might have been a human on this show. Frank Alletter. This is kind of a confusing show now, isn't it? Who played Professor Irwin Hayden. Am I still on the right show? Banana Splits Adventure Hour. I just want to find the Banana Splits. Kim Kahana played Chongo. Born in October 1929, died August 12th of last year, 2024, at the age of 94. Does it say why or how he died? Oh, wow. Okay, yes. Undisclosed. Although, let's read this. I don't know how this... I'm scrolling through this screen and somehow I caught part of this trivia about him. Served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War as a paratrooper. He was captured and shot by the enemy and left for dead in a mass grave. A penny in his pocket stopped the bullet from killing him. He later crawled out of the pile of his dead comrades and returned to the fight, only to be wounded by a grenade in combat that left him blind for 2 years and in which he lost an eye. As a civilian, he later survived a plane crash that killed everybody else. I wouldn't even have realized I was looking at that. Much less that I caught that much of that. It referenced Jan Michael Vincent, but we won't talk about him. He was just in that one little replayed thing. Shorky, Bingo, Chongo. And where's the... who? Oh, and Fleagle. Fleagle was played by Jeff Winkless, who was born in June of 1941 and died in June of 2006 at the age of 65 due to a brain tumor. Wow. Here's some trivia for him. Along with his father, he composed and co-wrote the Snap, Crackle, and Pop commercial jingle, along with scoring a few films. He really was a musician. I shouldn't say that like I'm surprised. Again, it's just a kid's show. It's like the Monkees. I just would never have thought they were really musicians. Okay, here's the next one. This should be really obscure for some of you that... I mean, it didn't run for very long either, so we'll see how much you remember. Okay, you remember that? So that's a Rod Serling show. Again, mixed in with the horror kind of stuff that was very commonly watched in my house. I really liked it. I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. It's not on the list because everybody knows Twilight Zone, so I couldn't really say that was a potentially forgotten show. But let's do some trivia about Night Gallery. Okay, that ran from 69 to 73, 52 total episodes. And the storyline is similar in format to Serling's much more famous Twilight Zone series. Each week we get a new tale represented by a painting in an old museum. Whereas the tales in Twilight Zone were more science fiction, these tales have a darker, more horrific edge. So they're more horror related. For the trivia on this show, artist Thomas J. Wright painted all of the paintings used to introduce each story. John Aston, who is the original Gomez Addams in the Old Addams Family, appeared in 3 separate episodes of this show. During each episode, his character was killed, and during 2 episodes, his character found himself in hell. He also directed 3 episodes of the show. It was conceived as an updating of the Twilight Zone concept. Serling reportedly began planning the series soon after the Twilight Zone was canceled in 1964. 2 segments and possibly a third were directed by Steven Spielberg. According to the book Rod Serling's Night Gallery, an after-hours tour, Spielberg was scheduled to direct the 1971 vignette A Matter of Semantics, starring Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero played... Who did he play on the old Batman show? Egghead? There's a connection there somewhere. Those involved with the production are unclear in their memory as to whether Spielberg directed the piece, which was ultimately credited to Jack Laird. At least one actor involved in the 2-minute mini episode recalls a director who more closely fits Spielberg's description than Laird's. Beginning with the second season, and despite Rod Serling's objections, the producers began to insert brief 1 to 3 minute blackout comedy sketches in between main segments of some episodes, usually when an episode was running short. The merits of these brief vignettes remain controversial among this show's fans to this day. Why blackout comedy? What is blackout comedy? Maybe I don't understand what that means, but why would that even ever be considered for filler for this kind of a show? And Rod Serling had originally conceived of a show like this one when he was still working on The Twilight Zone. He had originally wanted to change the stories to be shown during the final season from fantasy to horror, the genre he preferred, but CBS adamantly refused to agree to it. Unfortunately for Serling, on this show, he did not have the same kind of control over the program like he did on The Twilight Zone, as he was just the host and occasional story contributor. Serling frequently clashed with the show's producer over the quality of stories shown on the program. Wow, I mean, I thought it was his show. You'd think he could do what he wanted to do. So we'll just look up Rod Serling, because everything else was pretty much just guest actors for each individual episode. Rod Serling was born in December of 1924, died in June of 1975 at the age of only 50, due to complications arising from a coronary bypass operation, which again meant he had some kind of heart problems. But I mean, his name lives on and his legacy lives on, and that was a really interesting show. And the art, the paintings in that show really were very interesting. A very young James Brolin there. All right, so Marcus Welby ran from 69 to 76 for a total of 170 episodes. This is probably the first medical drama kind of show that I can remember watching growing up. Of course, you know, the 80s and 90s gave us lots of options when it came to hospital and medical shows, but this is one of the first ones that I can remember watching. The show is about Doctors Marcus Welby, a general practitioner, and Stephen Kiley, Welby's young assistant. The two try to treat people as individuals in an age of specialized medicine and uncaring doctors. Some show trivia for us. The exterior of Dr. Welby's office was the same building used as the Cleaver family home on Leave It to Beaver, with only Welby's shingle as the new addition to the set. Ellen Verdugo, who played Welby's nurse assistant Consuelo on all but one episode of the series, got her start as a femme fatale in 1940s westerns and horror films. Her most prominent role before Welby was as Wolfman Larry Talbot's love interest in The House of Frankenstein. Season 6, Episode 5, The Outrage, which aired in 1974, about a gay child molester, sparked real outrage by gay activists who complained the show was perpetuating anti-gay stereotypes, which prompted picketing across the country. This led to 17 ABC TV affiliates refusing to air a network episode in response to protests for what's believed to be the first time. Many sponsors refused to advertise during the edition's broadcast. In season 6, that was that same one. It was spoofed in Mad magazine as Make a Sickbee, MD. The series Marcus Welby, MD ran on the ABC television network, the last created and typically the least successful of the big three television networks, until Welby came along. Welby became the most successful series ever to run on ABC up until that time. By the late 1970s, Welby had been a major contributor to ABC becoming the #1 television network and attracted producers who had previously shunned ABC in favor of CBS and NBC. By being a #1 and top 10 show, a major hit by any measure, Welby permanently changed the dynamic for ABC. That's interesting. Okay, so I know James Brolin's still around, but let's see. Robert Young. Robert Young was also the dad in Father Knows Best, which is where I knew him first, but again, not on the list because I think everybody's heard of that show. Born in February of 1907, died in July of 1998 at the age of 91 due to respiratory failure. Let's see when he last did any acting. Last did some acting in 1988. It was a Marcus Welby TV movie. James Brolin, the husband of the one and only Barbra Streisand, and the father of Josh Brolin. I really like Josh Brolin. Born in July of 1940, most recently in 22 episodes of a TV series called Sweet Tooth. He's the narrator for that show. Never heard of it. But he's had steady work. He has been on the screen for a long, long time. And we'll just look at Consuelo, but everybody else again would be like, guest star for the individual episodes. Consuelo, born April of 1925, died in May of 2017 at the age of 92 from natural causes. So there's some Marcus Welby for you. Let's see what's coming up next.
Love American style, truer than the red, white, and blue. Love American style, that's me and you. And on a star-spangled night, my love, come to me. You can rest your head on my shoulder. By the dawn's early light, my love, I will defend your right to try. Love American style, that's me and you.
Who remembers that show? So I think that predates like The Love Boat, but it was a similar concept where, it's these people in different kinds of relationships. And this one was supposed to then, be people that were in romantic relationships, but just a light, mostly funny, a little bit of slapstick here and there, stuff like that, series. It ran from 69 to 74. It was pretty popular, 109 episodes. And again, kind of Love Boatish, so a lot of famous people that were on the show from time to time. It didn't have a host or anything like that. And the storyline for the show is an anthology comedy series featuring a lineup of different celebrity guest stars appearing in anywhere from 1 to 3 and 4 short stories or vignettes within an hour about versions of love and romance. We'll do some trivia. Let's see. Love and the Happy Days / Love and the Newscasters, which aired in 1972, was the inspiration for the hit show Happy Days that aired starting in 1974 and featured eventual cast members Ron Howard, Anson Williams, and Marion Ross. For the show's first season, the theme song was performed by the popular family group The Cowsills. For the rest of the show's run, it was performed by the Charles Fox Singers, who were a group of Los Angeles studio musicians that did numerous radio and television commercials. I've often thought it might be kind of fun to sing for commercials, but how do you get that? How do you do that? Where do you go? How do you get that job? Phyllis Davis, who did several low-budget exploitation movies and co-starred in the television series Vegas back in 1978, said she was cast as a repertory player on this show by accident. I walked into Paramount to have lunch with somebody, recounts Davis. They had already looked at 200 girls and I didn't even have an interview. I walked in and somebody saw me and said, "Do you have a bikini? Can you do lines?" They gave me a few lines to do in front of the network people and the producers, and I got it that day. It was a fluke and it lasted for years. I don't remember who Phyllis Davis is. As of 2020, one of only 4 television shows that was an hour long and had a laugh track. Wow. Happy Days in 1974 was not a direct spin-off of this show, but an indirect one. Gary Marshall pitched a show to ABC called New Family in Town. The network turned it down. So Marshall did a vignette on an episode of this show, Love American Style, with the 3 characters. 2 years later, American Graffiti came out. That was in 1973, and it became an unexpected success. The network remembered Marshall's show. It asked him to shoot a pilot with some changes. It wanted a gangster-type character to intimidate Cunningham, Richie Cunningham. thus the birth of Fonzie. Gangster type? Oh, that's funny. Again, we won't go through all the actors because there were so many of them, and a lot of them you'll know from other stuff. But there's one, a blast from the past. Oh, here's that really obscure one. Oh, how did I go back there? That's bad. Curiosity Shop. Does anyone else but me remember that? So, to me, that is really obscure, partly because it was on for not a year, because it only ran 4 episodes, but it starred Vincent Price. He was like the little shop owner, I think. So let's see what we get for the story of the show. So it didn't have guest stars, really, but let's see what it says. ABC TV's Saturday morning series hosted by 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, with short skits and songs mixed together with cartoons of an educational, for example, the story of Icarus, that flew too close to the sun, and of a purely entertainment nature. The focus was the Curiosity Shop itself, a sort of tame Pee Wee Herman playhouse full of puppets, action figures, and wild and educational props. Anybody remember that show but me? Like, I don't know where. Oh, I guess when we go back to the other page after the trivia, it'll tell me if it's airing, if I can watch it somewhere. So, under the trivia, Multiplication Rock, the first of the Scholastic Rock educational shorts that became collectively known as Schoolhouse Rock, debuted on this show. 3, The Magic Number, was the first segment run. The following week, Multiplication Rock shorts began running between Saturday morning cartoons, soon to be joined by Grammar Rock and America Rock. Do y'all remember that? The Schoolhouse Rock? No episodes of this show were preserved, and the entire series is therefore lost. So unless somebody recorded it on an old VHS recorder, because that was a thing, I guess I won't be watching it anywhere. At least 4 shows of this series still do exist. That's funny because it says there were only 4 shows of this series. Let me go back up here. Yeah, this doesn't show me I can watch it anywhere. Okay, so that was the little bit about this little show that didn't run very long, but it somehow is tucked away in my memories. Anybody know this show?
Dr. Michael Rhodes, leading authority in the investigation of psychic phenomena and the world of ESP.
Anybody remember that? Oh, I just was so in love with Gary Collins. I saw him in another movie. Oh, where did I see that? Just within the last month or so. Like an old sci-fi movie. Oh, and I don't remember what it was. And I was surprised to see him because I didn't remember what else he might have been in. But this was The Sixth Sense. It didn't run very long. 25 episodes, 1 season. And I don't know why. It's weird. I have this weird, it almost takes me to a place in my life, even though I can't tell you where that place really was. So 1972, kind of a pivotal year for me because we moved from Jacksonville, Florida. We lived in Jacksonville, Florida from 1968 till 1972. So 72 we came back to Texas. There was a lot of upheaval. I mean, my childhood was far from pleasant. Some of you know that already. In fact, it was pretty bad for the most part, which is part of why I love when I can focus on some things like this that represent positive stuff and fun things and good memories. But I really liked this show, and this may have been the beginnings of my interest in like X-File type stuff, because that's sort of what the concept was. Let's see what the storyline is. I think it kind of said it in that little intro there. Dr. Michael Rhodes is a college professor with an interest in the paranormal. He and his assistant Nancy spend much of their time investigating mysteries involving extrasensory perception, spirits, possessions, and other such experiences. Let's look at some trivia. This show was edited from 60-minute episodes to 30-minute episodes and added to Night Gallery for syndication. Because this show essentially ran for one season, it had too few episodes to sell to local stations in syndication, as those stations want a series with a certain number of episodes to keep their audience from tiring from constant repeats. By combining the two shows into one, it was much easier to sell the combined package of both shows. How interesting is that? Okay, and let's look at our actors. So, Gary Collins. We're only going to look at Gary Collins and then the person that played Nancy. Gary Collins was born in April of 1938 and died in October of 2012 at the age of 74 due to natural causes. And then Nancy, or Catherine Farrar, who played his assistant Nancy, was born in October of 1946. She's still with us. Looks like her last acting was back in 1985 on a series called The Colbys, one episode. So didn't stay with Hollywood too long. So there's a little short snippet for you today. Oh, I loved Randolph Mantooth. I thought he went by Randy Mantooth. Maybe he went by Randy Mantooth after. Oh, I just loved him. I just loved him on that show. And I think this is the only show I have on the list that, is like emergency medicine, paramedic stuff. It was a great show. So it ran from 72 to 79, 131 episodes. And, of course, had the core characters that were on all of the shows, and then guest stars that played the hurt people, the hurt and sick people. So storyline for the show, the Jack series, or the Jack Webb action series, ran 6 seasons from 72 to 79, inspired by California legislation signed by then Governor Ronald Reagan on July 14th, 1970. The new law paved the way for creation of firefighter paramedic programs all over California. This series showcases the Los Angeles model and the emerging specialty of emergency hospital medicine. In Los Angeles, firefighters trained to certify as firefighters paramedics employed through the LA County Fire Department. The newly built Station 51 in this show has one full-size engine and a smaller rescue squad truck which carries... Boone hears a motorcycle, which carries state-of-the-art equipment used by the firefighters paramedics. This includes a mobile radio and portable EKG machine, which allows them to contact and transmit information to and from the field to ER specialists at hospitals like Rampart General. There are spectacular rescues and more mundane runs. Prompt treatment in the field by firefighters and paramedics keeps a large number of patients alive long enough to reach a hospital. At Rampart, teams of skilled professionals provide appropriate medical care to the patients transported by Squad 51 and other firefighters paramedics. A close friendship evolves between the Squad 51 firefighter paramedics and the Rampart emergency team. Firefighter paramedics mantra is "Take it easy," or that mantra, "Take it easy," is born. I loved this show. Let's see. This show was truly a family affair because Julie London, she played a nurse on the show, was at the time married to Bobby Troop and had been hired by her previous husband, Jack Webb, who was the series creator and producer. The radio call signs... Is Jack Webb, is he the guy from Dragnet? Hang on. Sure enough. Who knew? Okay. The radio call sign KMG365, which is said whenever Station 51 is responding to a call, is still a valid FCC call sign license to the LA County Fire Department. It appears on the station patches for the crew at Station 127, which was used as the filming location for Station 51. After the series, Jim Page, considered as the father of modern EMS and served as a series consultant, offered Randolph Mantooth the opportunity to train and become a firefighter with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. He turned it down, but only after much reflection. Hang on, I have this message popping up here. This tab is using extra resources. To improve your performance, let Chrome make it inactive. Dismiss. Yeah, what? Using extra resources? I've had tabs open all day. The series is popularly credited for encouraging the widespread adoption of paramedic programs across North America. John Gage, that's... I thought that was one of the characters' names, was based on Battalion Chief... Okay, that character, John Gage, was based on Battalion Chief Jim Page, who helped create the firefighter paramedic program for LA County Fire Department. Executive producer Jack Webb wanted to name the character after Page, but he declined. Jim Page died on Saturday, September 4th, 2004, and Randolph Mantooth was one of the speakers at his memorial. So we'll look at a batch of the actors here. Randolph Mantooth. Y'all, I just thought he was so cute. Okay, Randolph Mantooth was born in September of 1945, and his most recent acting job was in a movie or a show called Killer Holiday back in 2013. Oh, why is he not still acting? Kevin Tighe. I've seen Kevin Tighe in so many things. So let's see. Okay, Kevin Tighe. Okay, Kevin Tighe was born in August of 1944. He is still with us as well, with his most recent gig as a couple of different characters on a couple of different episodes of Law and Order SVU between 2007 and 2016. I wanted to look at the what he's best known for. Emergency. What did I just see him in? It seems like it hasn't been that long ago that I saw him in I think a movie. Julie London. Born September of 1926, died in October of 2000 at the age of 74 due to a stroke, or after a stroke it says. But wow. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Big Valley, Adam 12, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, Alfred Hitchcock Hour, I Spy. Lots and lots of stuff on her resume here. Bobby Troop. Oh, okay. I didn't remember that name, but now that I'm seeing this guy, he played the doctor, one of the doctors at Rampart. Born October of 1918, died February of 1999 at the age of 80. Due to a heart attack. And then let's see, the cute doctor. The cute doctor was Robert Fuller, who was born in July of 1933. Somebody wants attention. Richard's out there with him. And he last did some acting on some episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger between 1997 and 2001. So that's one of my favorites right there, Emergency. Who remembers this one? Anybody remember that show but me? Now, the only reason that show was ever on in our house is that my mom really adored Bill Bixby. I know Bill Bixby more from The Incredible Hulk, and he was also on a show called The Courtship of Eddie's Father, which maybe could have been on this list just because it's, you know, maybe a forgotten show, but I don't remember liking that show. We watched it because my mother really adored Bill Bixby, but it was more of a drama, I think. So as a kid, it was kind of like Peyton Place. I don't remember liking that show, but it's on the list because it's from my childhood and lesser known, maybe. But The Magician, let's see what we can learn about The Magician. 22 episodes. Looks like it only ran for one series from 73 to 74. And the storyline is... Where's the storyline section? Oh, Anthony Blake is a very compassionate and wealthy magician who uses his talents as an illusionist and escape artist to help people in trouble. Max Pomeroy, a friend who is a syndicated columnist, describes him as one of the few individuals in this age of numbness who can still regard the suffering of a fellow human being as his own. He's motivated to help because he had been falsely imprisoned in South America for espionage. I didn't remember that. And let's see, some trivia. First up, Bill Bixby was a skilled amateur magician. Magician. Who knew? He actually learned how to do the magic tricks for this role, so for most of the magic, there was no trick photography used at all. Some magic did use the frame of the camera or edits to allow effects that would not have been possible otherwise. In the first half of the series, Tony Blake lives on a plane called the Spirit. Oh, let's go back here. I might have to open these windows individually now. In the first half of the series, Tony Blake lives on a plane called the Spirit. A ramp is often seen lowered so he can park his Corvette with the vanity license plate equally named Spirit inside of the Boeing. In the second half of the series, Tony Blake has lost the plane and moved into a suite at the Magic Castle in Hollywood. No explanation was ever given for this character change. However, period articles attribute this mid-season revamping to the fact that there was a gas shortage at the time, and the audiences would not only not be able to relate to a man who spent so much fuel to jet set himself across the country, but would also resent that. What years was this again? Oh, I can remember lining up around 1972, sitting in the car waiting for gas. We're not talking about there's just a car at the pump in front of you. We're talking about 3 or 4 blocks down the road that leads to the gas station, stuck in your car waiting in line to go get gas. License number on his Corvette was Spirit. Okay. The Great Spontini, May 9th, 1974, which I guess aired as part of Quantum Leap in 1990. Sam Beckett, Scott Bakula, jumps into a magician in 1974 who plans on auditioning for Bill Bixby's The Magician. Sam mistakenly thinks he's going to try out for The Incredible Hulk, to which his young companion says, "Harry, I don't think a great actor like Bill Bixby, a magician, is going to play a green comic book character." I'm having a hard time processing what all that means. Tony Blake's drink of choice is white wine, which recurred throughout the series. Okay. Oh, let's go now, and I want to say Bill Bixby died of cancer a good while ago. So let's see. Bill Bixby, who played Anthony Blake, was born in January of 1934 and died in November of 1993 at the age of 59 due to prostate cancer. Gosh, he was a good actor. So we won't look at all these other people. I mean, I'm sure there were, recurring characters. I do want to see what the last thing he did was. He was in an episode of Blossom back in 1993. And what did I say? When did he pass away? Oh, 1993. Okay. So let's move on to our next one. You know this, right?
Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition.
Sing along.
Met the greatest earthquake ever known. High their tiny raft, plunge them down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost.
Oh, that's good stuff. Isn't that good stuff? So, I mean, who did not watch that show? Maybe I shouldn't even have put it on the list, but I think a lot of people younger now might think, I think Will Smith did a movie based on this show. So I wonder if a lot of people even realize this was a show on TV. So it ran for 3 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, 43 episodes from 74 to 77. And let's just look at the storyline. The Marshalls, that's the family, widowed Ranger Father Rick and his 2 children, Will and Holly, are on an outdoor expedition like they have many times before. Are on an outdoor expedition like they've been on many times before? While rafting on this trip, an earthquake opens up a chasm, resulting in them tumbling across some raging rapids and over an unknown waterfall. They end up alive, but in a world unfamiliar to them, a world they will ultimately coin the Land of the Lost. It's inhabited by creatures some they've never seen or heard of, and some which no longer exist in the world they knew back home, creatures such as dinosaurs. Don't forget Enoch the Sleestack. They will find that some of these creatures are friendly, and some of them which they need to stay away from for their lives. These things on IMDb, let me just already tell you, it's just written by everyday people that you can have an account at IMDb. You can go in and write reviews and add trivia and stuff like that. And I feel like I can see it sometimes with the way things are written. As they eke out a life in this strange land, they try to understand what got them here so they can make their way back home. That process, which is fraught with its own dangers based on the unknowns of what is on the path to home. What they are also initially unaware of is that Rick's brother, fellow Ranger Jack Marshall, is trying to trace their path to locate them. That was written by Hugo. It tells you who did it. And here's some trivia. There's got to be some fun trivia for this. Only 3 Sleestack costumes existed. The production team had to merge shots and use editing tricks to make more appear on screen. Bill Laimbeer, former Cleveland Cavaliers and Detroit Pistons center, was a Sleestack during the show's first season. Wesley Ure's manager talked him into being billed simply as Wesley. His full name was added when the credits were overhauled for the 3rd season, and he went on to refer to the career move as one of the greatest embarrassments of his life. Above the title of Kathy Coleman's 2017 biography, Run, Holly, Run, there's a quote from co-star Wesley Ure. He likes to joke that he got top billing on both the show and on her book. The producers had a falling out with Spencer Milligan after the 2nd season and hastily wrote him out of the show. Series writer-producer John Kubishan portrayed his character, seen only from behind in the 3rd season opener. We'll have to see who Spencer Milligan played.
Stop.
Oh, he played the dad. Okay, so top billing on this now is Wesley Ure, who was born in August of 1951. Last acting work was on an episode of P.S. After Dark in 2021. It's Kathy Coleman, who played Holly, was born February 18th, 1962. Her last work was in a TV series called Fault back in 2021. And then Spencer Milligan, the dad who had a spat with someone, was born September of 1937 and died in April of 2024. Oh, last year. His last work was He played a guy named Rick, the trampoline dad, in The Last Page of Summer back in 2020. Let's see, he was on General Hospital, Hardcastle and McCormick, Quincy, Police Squad, Father Murphy, Vegas. He stayed pretty busy. Chaka. Okay, here's Chaka. I think Chaka was a monkey on the show, or an ape-like creature. He was played by Philip Paley, who was born on September 15th. There's no year given. And he was also in that movie, The Last Page of Summer. And he played Chaka, trampoline kid. Huh. Oh, I forgot about Chaka. Let's see. I want to find Enoch the Sleestack. Oh, here it is. Walker Edmiston. Born February 2026, died February 2007 at the age of 81 due to complications from cancer. How tall was he? If the Sleestacks were that tall. Oh, it doesn't say. Usually at Wikipedia you can see how tall someone was. His last acting thing was in 2006, Toot and Puddle. He was a voice. Okay, that was Enoch the Sleestack. Let me just look and see if there's any other character names that I recognize. Uncle Jack, Saw, the Sleestack leader. I just remember Enoch the Sleestack. So there's one for you. So that's my list of fun and possibly forgotten shows from the 60s and 70s, so through about the time I was 16 years old. And I invite you to check some of them out if you saw something that was interesting here. For those who may want to know, I can't monetize these kind of videos. Everything is copyrighted. Everything. All of these clips, the music. So I'll invite you to be a channel member. Join the channel, because that helps support the channel. And you can do that for even just 99 cents a month. But thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me. I hope you had a good time. I hope you found some new shows, some new old shows to check out. And I will see you Fridays at 2 p.m. for my regular live stream chats. Hope you're having good weather, that you're happy, safe, and well. And I love you all. Thanks. Bye, friends.